The Obama administration will likely miss tomorrow's congressionally mandated deadline for whether to declare ISIS's attacks on Christians genocide. The Associated Press is reporting that. But there is pressure on the Obama White House right now. This week, the House unanimously passed a bipartisan resolution agreeing to label it genocide. The administration has resisted using that word in the past, as you know, saying the issue is not as clear-cut as it may seem.
Applying the label of genocide as a policy matter is one that has significant legal implications. And that is why there are attorneys at the State Department who have now for quite some time been closely examining the use and application of that term. The President has already ordered aggressive, robust action to try to protect religious minorities who are in the crosshairs of ISIL fighters.
All of this coming as the ISIS savages have just released this chilling new video. It shows Bibles and other Christian literature being tossed into a huge bonfire. All right, so for Secretary Kerry and the State Department, this is what they're looking at. At issue is whether the Islamic State's mass murders, beheadings, torture, and other crimes carried out against ethnic and religious minorities in Iraq and Syria meet the UN definition of genocide, to destroy in whole or part a national ethnical, racial, or religious group. That's the very definition of genocide.
It's the definition of weak, incompetent government, too. How many people will die as a result of this genocide until this White House makes up its mind as to the legal implications? There are legal implications. There are legal definitions. The UN has them. Other people have defined it. The Pope has defined it. Hillary Clinton has defined it. Marco Rubio has defined it. The bishops have defined it. Protestant leaders have defined it. Jewish leaders have defined it. A lot of people have defined it. But how many people will die until they make a decision? It's a moral calculus. It's not a legal compass or a legal rule or a legal definition. It's looking at what happened and making a determination and then acting. Whatever the moral or economic or legal consequences are, act. Stop it. Never again. Never another genocide. If it's a genocide, say it, and the world has said it's a genocide.
Can I actually jump on that, because you're so right. You know, I remember we all have read about the fact that President Roosevelt and Winston Churchill wouldn't bomb the train tracks going to Auschwitz. And the whole calculus was, well, for whatever reason, they decided.
And we turned away ships.
And we turned away ships. We did. We turned away the St. Louis. Anybody who's a descendant of those people, as I am, or even if you aren't and you care about what's going on in the world, how do you not see what's going on here? It is happening against Christians. It is happening against the Yazidis. It has happened certainly against the Jews of the Middle East, not just here, but for the past 50 to 60 years. It happens Sunni against Shia. There are genocides going on that are not just limited to Christians, but really targeting all sorts of ethnic minorities. And we cannot, as you said, we can never say never again and not mean it. And yet consistently, every generation, this happened in Rwanda, this happened in the Balkans, every generation sees this opportunity and every generation says never again, and they do it again.
But this opportunity that Peter mentioned, you'd have to speak out on a moral basis. And we have a White House that is operating on one that is political. ISIS did not exist. Even though radical Islamic jihadism did exist, ISIS metastasized under Barack Obama. And then when they started, he called them JV. To acknowledge the perpetrator of the violence means that you have to acknowledge the victim. He's not going to acknowledge the victim when he won't even acknowledge the perpetrator, Harris. So they're not going to put themselves in a place to acknowledge something, because that would concede that they got this wrong.
That's a
political
point. It's acknowledging failure.
Pulling out of Syria.
Acknowledging failure.
Acknowledging failure.
With Russia pulling out of Syria, remember, they were there under the guise that they might be helping to fight the ISIS savages. And of course, with them leaving, that again leaves it to, well, who else is going to pick up the reins on that? The enemy is defining what this is with those videos. They're burning Bibles. I mean, it's a holy war.
It is, and we're not doing anything about it. We continue to be pushed further and further. I would add to it that we're also not talking about that 21-year-old boy in North Korea who was sent to a labor camp, a University of Virginia student from Ohio. I mean, this is another story where America's being pushed around, and we're not doing anything about it.
All right, we'll cover it as it happens.